Hi, welcome to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends, and I'm Dee, and we're here to inspire and help you learn knowledge and actually share people's journeys and maybe touch your lives to maybe inspire you to have your own passion. And everybody should have your passion. So my passion is actually just knowledge because I feel knowledge is power, and power you have to share that knowledge, and because it's going to help everybody just be better people. And I'm also all about the health and wellness. So I just actually graduated from health coach. What my certificate? I'm going to have a health coach certificate. Why am I being nervous today? Anyway, so here I have my friend Diane. Hi, Diane.
Hi,
How you
Dee.
doing?
How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good.
Good.
You know, we're here another week, and thanks for everybody joining us. And
Yes.
we have a wonderful friend out here, and it's going to be real cool. So, what's your passion?
Well, my passion is acting, and I'm also a photographer. I do pet photography because I love animals. And I'm also wellness and humanity. And again, last Friday we had an episode in Paris. Today we had one in Germany. So I want to say peace to the world, and let's continue peace around the world.
Yeah, we have to do that for sure. So, hi.
Hi.
We have a guest today, and his name is Jerry, and I've met him so long ago, and I'm so happy you finally made it here.
Finally, I've been waiting to be on this show
Oh my
for the
gosh.
longest time.
Well, it's so
And
funny.
now I'm here.
Yes. And
How cool is
and
that?
It's real cool because the two of us actually knew you. So it
Right.
was
Yes.
like
In separate settings
in
and then
separate
together.
settings and then
Right.
together.
Right.
And I'm just, it's time. And you may be one of my mentors, who knows, because you're doing what I inspired to do. So, but
That's
I
cool.
want to ask you first, what is your passion for life?
It's teaching
Teaching.
and helping others to discover what their purpose in life is
Excellent.
and to find their true calling, because we all have one. There's no one can do in the world what you can do or what Diane can do or what I can do or what any of our viewers can do.
Right.
Each one of us is the only person that can do that thing.
Right.
And the only one who people say, oh, well, I want to be the next Oprah. Oprah even says, you can't be the next Oprah because that job's already taken.
Exactly.
But you can be the best you that you
Yes,
can be.
Exactly.
So helping people to become the best at first discover what their passion is and then become the best at what they do.
Right. So that's why you need
Yeah.
to be here.
It's exciting
So
to
you
be
share
here.
that to everybody, and because how are you doing that right now? So how are you allowing people to
Well,
guide them?
I coach. I'm a certified career coach, and I work with an organization called the 5 O'Clock Club.
Okay.
And the 5 O'Clock Club is one of the top 3 corporate outplacement firms in the country.
Okay.
So our clients will hire us to help their employees who are downsized to get to where they need to go to next. And I coach people who are clients of the firm in a private setting, either in person or via telephone or Skype, however they're most comfortable, depending upon where they're located. Sometimes they're in another state, and so it needs to be by telephone or by Skype. If they're
right.
local, we can meet personally, and I've done both.
And
So-
you do mostly career coaching.
That's my certification is in career coaching, and I also work with Workforce New York, which is the part of the Department of Labor, the Workforce Partnership with the town of Oyster Bay, and they we help clients live in Oyster Bay town of North Hempstead, and the city of Glen Cove. It used to be it's part of unemployment, and it's the educational arm
Okay.
of unemployment, and it's all funded by federal and state dollars.
Wow.
So I teach for them as well. I teach communications in the job search and reimagining second half careers. So I help people who are stuck where they are and want to do better where they are, or people who just want to change completely, and people who don't even know what it is they want to do. But I don't know what I want to do, but I know it's not this.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm at that point. And it's funny because even though I'm knocking on the door of 60, it's like, wow. Why?
You're a baby.
I'm a baby. Okay. Wow. It's very strange because I just actually had my 29th year at my place of employment.
That's a long time
That's
to
a
be in
long
one
time.
place.
And
In this day and age, it's a very long time.
I know.
Yeah.
I haven't had the same job because I was a lab technologist, and then I'm now a coordinator. So I did change within the system, and I was a supervisor. I've done different things in the system, but stayed within one facility.
Right.
You know, it's kind of
Right.
scary. But now I'm ready to change. So definitely going to be knocking on your door.
All right.
And they say, Jerry,
I will answer.
I read some of the bio too, and you said throughout your life, people go like through 3 different careers throughout their life or more.
Well, Diane, it's interesting that you asked that because the common wisdom now is that most college graduates today will have 5 separate careers
5?
in the course. 5 careers,
Really?
not 5 jobs, but 5
Careers.
distinct
Different.
careers in the
Right,
course of their
right,
working
right.
life,
Interesting.
which is very different from what
Yeah.
our parents and grandparents'
Yeah.
generation, and even many people in our generation. Here you are, 29 years with
Yeah.
one organization,
Right, right.
which is highly unusual.
Yeah.
Another year and you'll get a gold watch.
I know. I'm ready. I'm definitely ready. That's
Yeah,
why I went
yeah.
back to school.
So yeah, people are making changes,
Yeah.
and the world is shifting, and so people are shifting along with it.
No, it's true because I deal with a lot of young people, and in their 30s, I've known people that already had 2 different careers. And so that's on the average if they're starting already and they've had 2 different careers. So you're right, probably.
And I
in
had
5.
several. I had
Yeah,
several
yeah.
different, I started as a trainer and a photographer, and now I'm acting.
Well,
Right.
you also have had several.
Several.
I've had many careers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
you've
refer
been
to
very
it as,
diverse.
I just can't hold
Yeah.
a job. That's what it boils
No,
down to.
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Well,
Well, I
Tell us
started out
about it.
my first business, because entrepreneurship has always been a theme for me. My
Right.
first business was when I was 10 years old. I lived in Queens, and I taught neighborhood kids how to ride 2-wheel bicycles. And it was also
Oh,
the
that's so
first.
cool.
I worked myself out of employment. Yes, it was $1 a lesson, $1 a lesson.
oh no.
And I taught them how to ride 2-wheel bikes.
That's so
and,
cool.
and it was usually the older siblings. And then once they knew how to ride, then they taught their younger siblings how to
right.
ride. So I had to always be looking for new business or finding only child families.
That's so ingenious.
Yes,
You know,
yeah.
how did you come up with that?
I was 10 years old. It was a need because the dads were all at work. Most of the moms didn't ride bicycles. My mom rode a bicycle. She stopped driving, she said, when my brother and I were having a fight in the back seat of the car and she couldn't take the pressure. Now she's 94. She still has a driver's license. The only reason she keeps it is to drive us crazy.
Oh my God.
That's her job now. But I said, the kids have to, somebody's got to teach these kids how to ride a bike because most of the moms didn't know how.
Right.
I mean, the dads
and you
would
were
come
10.
home and they were tired. They didn't want to take their kids out. So I said, you know what? There's money here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very, very entrepreneurial.
It was yes.
And that's how it all started.
Well, it was funny because I did also actually see one of your interviews and what have you, and I have friends and myself too. When I was younger, well, I was basically the oldest, and my mom took care of foster children, so I was
okay.
their caregiver.
Okay.
You know, I was always the one that they go to. You know, and I had a girlfriend also that she liked to do shows, so we would go down in the basement and we'd play like Supremes and stuff like that. And recently she did a big event, and this is
Wait a
what
second,
she,
you said you would play like you was the Supremes?
Supremes, yeah.
Okay, so can you do a
Yeah.
little number?
No, no.
Like Stop in the Name of Love?
I would always do the
hands?
back, yeah.
You were
I
in the
just
background?
dance. I dance really good.
Okay. So you weren't
No.
like the Diana Ross part?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
no.
she
I
was.
She was always the lead.
Oh,
She-
sure, 'cause it
she's-
was her basement.
Yeah, it's her basement. Plus, she's just a little older, and she was a little bossy. You know, she's still bossy.
Well, yeah, see, you know what? What's interesting is that our personalities are formed by the time we're 5 or 6.
Right.
So if she was bossy when she was 5 or 6, and now she's 50, she's still going to be bossy.
Oh my gosh! Let me tell you, she came for the funeral, and I had to like check her. I'm like, what? My mom passed. What's up? And I told her mom. I said she's bossy. She says. So my girlfriend's like, oh, am I bossy? And her mom's like, yeah, you're bossy. You know. So her sister won't even deal with it.
That's so funny.
But I love her.
Well,
But
sure.
But she's bossy.
Personality's
You know,
personality.
it's like it is what it is, you know. And I was like, I
For
feel like
sure.
I'm 5, you know, again, because she was exhibiting that behavior
That same
back.
behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a minute, no, this is not cool. But you met her. Well, you saw her up there with me.
I did.
And
I did.
now Dee also does fashion shows that you enjoy. You like doing that as a child. 'cause it
Well,
also-
yeah, I was very shy, but you know, at this point, I'm like,
You got over your shyness?
I'm still shy.
Yeah?
A little bit. I think it's not shy really, but it's probably a little insecurity.
Mm. Well, we all have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all have that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it wasn't, I don't think it was ever really shy. It was just the insecurity, you know. So I'm learning because of the coaching and stuff why certain things were happening. And so it's very interesting. So how did you diverse from being into, this entrepreneur, and then did you continue as being an entrepreneur? Because I see you also.
Well, yeah. Well, my next foray into entrepreneurship
Uh-huh.
was when I had a photography business, but I didn't actually develop the business until years later, until I was a grown-up.
Really?
But I had gotten a camera when I was a Nikkormat camera when I was 13, and I was out at a flea market, a local flea market, and taking pictures of the vendors. And one of the vendors said, "Hey, how much for a 5x7?" I had never sold a photograph before. I was 14. I said, $2. So he said, all right, fine. You know, if anything comes out good, I'll buy some. So I pedaled home on my bicycle as fast as I could. I had a darkroom in my parents' basement.
Really?
Went home, I developed a roll of film. I printed some pictures. I found the pictures of this guy, and I printed 7 pictures of him. And I brought them back, and he bought them all.
Really?
For $14 cash.
Wow.
Shh,
That's
don't tell
very
anybody.
enterprising.
I didn't collect sales tax. It was a few years ago. But so I figured I turned pro then when I was 14.
Okay.
And then fast forward a few years, 1985 is when I photographed my first wedding.
Really?
I was working for Citibank at the time, and we had gone through, I think, our second reorganization. And I was made available, meaning you can find a job in the company, outside the company, wherever. What are you drinking? What is that? Is
This
that
is
prune
my-
juice?
No.
Okay.
This is my true age. The noni and
Oh, I've heard about that.
yes, we'll talk
Noni.
about it. Yes,
Okay.
it's good
It's
stuff.
like the
Makes
noni
me
fruit?
younger.
The noni fruit.
Yeah,
It comes
noni
from the
fruit.
noni
And the
fruit.
noni.
Is one of the ingredients in there.
Okay.
This is the original Tahitian noni, but
Oh,
we've
okay.
gone into a different. They put it on steroids now.
Oh,
So-
noni on steroids.
Oh, and the steroids.
Oh,
It's
okay.
amazing
Well, we'll
stuff.
have to talk some more about that. So getting back to the photography with the wedding, and people there knew that I was handy with a camera, so they had me on special assignments. And special assignments, I was still being paid my regular salary as a marketing AVP,
Okay.
and they had me photographing corporate events,
Really?
which was great.
How cool.
So I was being
Something that you
paid-
liked.
Yeah, doing something that I liked. And someone in the office that I had worked with said, oh, my daughter is getting married. Can you photograph her wedding? And I said, sure. And she said, how much? And I said, $350.
Oh my
I just
gosh.
blurted out a number. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So I thought, now what?
No, that wasn't enough.
There was,
And that was a
there
good price
was-
back in the day.
Oh,
back in,
that was 31 years
yeah,
ago,
that
but
was
still,
very,
it probably
that's what the
wasn't.
price was.
It wasn't
It
back
wasn't
then.
a lot more than that,
Right.
Yeah.
although there were some larger, better established studios that were charging more than that. And there was a guy in the IT department who had a photography studio in his home. And I went to Frank and I said, Frank, help. And he said, all right, what are you doing tonight? I said, nothing. He said, come on over, I'll show you the ropes and I'll take you through some basic poses and show you different things. And he loaned me a battery pack and a flash, and then I went and got a custom bracket for my camera and mounted his flash on it and went out and photographed the wedding. And everything except for photographing the rice photograph. And as a photographer, you'll appreciate it. I forgot that the Nikkormat has a curtain shutter, it's a focal plane shutter, not, I'm drawing a blank on, there's two different kinds of shutters, but this one only synced at a 60th with flash. And we were outdoors. And I took a meter reading of the light, and it was something like a 250th of a second at f11 because it was a very bright sunny day. And we didn't have high ISO film at that point. It was maybe 125. So I thought it was fine. But what happened is, because of the type of shutter, we only had half a picture. So here was the bottom of the picture, and we got the bride and groom and the rice, but the whole bottom was all cut off. Everything else came out. Years later, I found the proofs, some leftover proofs that I had edited out, and it was like, oh my God, these are atrocious. Because I really didn't know what I was doing. But they loved them.
Yeah,
And one of the girls in the wedding party saw them, and she loved them.
Really?
And
then
so she
they
hired me.
referred you, yes.
And then I said, all right, now I have to learn how to do this
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
So I apprenticed myself out at the age of 31 to be a lighting assistant at a studio, which is now out of business. And at the time, I went out as a lighting assistant. I was what we refer to as the schlepper. I carried the bags, I loaded the film, I did all of the grunt work and learned the business from the ground
Right.
up
Yeah, why not?
because I needed to. It was going to school on the job.
Really?
And then I started to take workshops and day-long workshops and week-long workshops and really learn at the feet of masters how to do the business. And
So do you still have that passion to
I do,
the
and
photography?
every once in a while I do photograph a wedding, but not in an active way.
Right,
I
right.
have some friends that own studios that will call me and say, what are you doing Saturday? Can you help out?
Right,
We have a
right,
big
right.
wedding. We could use your help, and I'll go
wedding,
out.
see, weddings I want to do. The last time I did a wedding, I had someone that was drunk pick me up in the air and throw me on the floor. That's why I work with animals. That was the end. I do
you know,
parties
I
and
saw that happen.
Yes.
It was a big wedding in New Jersey, and someone was drunk and pulled one of the photographers. There were 3 photographers and 3 video people, and it was this one studio that I work with, and I was there sort of to manage the entire process. It said we could use you there to make sure things go smoothly.
Right.
And it was an Orthodox Jewish job, so the men were dancing on one side, the women were dancing on the other side, and some big guy came by and pulled one of my photographers off the ladder and put him on the ground because he thought he was in his way. And the guy was maybe like 6'7", big guy. And my photographer just got so incensed, he ran out of the ballroom. And I went over to the big guy and I said, what the hell is the matter with you?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't you ever do that to one of my people, ever
Yeah.
again. I said, now you go outside and apologize to him.
Wow. Did he do that?
He said, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm less than
You're
5'10".
looking up at him,
and I'm
right?
looking up at this big guy, and I'm waving my finger.
Reprimanding him,
Yeah,
huh?
I guess somebody in his life waved a finger at him. So, so he
Probably his mama.
Yeah, he apologized. He went
Yeah,
out and apologized.
Well, he should have.
And they made nice.
That's not cool.
So yeah, people can get crazy at weddings.
Yeah.
You can,
I do small parties and I'll do animal. I love working with animals.
and weddings, there's one chance to get it right.
Right.
Except now with digital, you can
Yeah.
you can see it.
Right.
Right.
But if the moment is lost, the moment is lost.
Lost.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not like you can go back and redo it.
It's a great
Yeah.
passion.
So
though.
there's a lot
I love
of
it.
so there's pressure.
Yeah, I always actually liked. Well, I was an art major in high school, so I was an art. I loved photography also, and I remember I got a Nikon 400 or something like that, but nobody knew how to take my picture because you had to focus and all that kind of nonsense. And I remember going.
Now everybody's got a phone.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
but back then, it was heavy, and
sure.
I was carrying this thing, and
Well, so a couple of years later, I graduated from my 35 millimeter. I learned working for other people that
Yeah.
if I was going to do this as a professional, I needed medium format equipment,
right.
roll film. So I got Bronica equipment, and now digital is on a 35 millimeter looking platform. But
Right.
in those days, anyone that went out with a 35 millimeter camera was an amateur.
Yeah.
Wasn't a pro. So I
Okay.
had to invest in the equipment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go any further than that. Because after I went away one time, and you're talking about the shutter, I think I was a little. I had something to drink or something,
Yeah.
and didn't realize the shutter was blocked or something. So
Okay.
you're talking about half.
Right, a focal plane shutter is a rectangle that moves up and down, and then there's a leaf shutter, which is like the diaphragm that opens and closes to allow different amounts of light in.
Right.
But a leaf shutter synchronizes at any speed.
Yeah.
So when I switched over to medium format equipment, I could take a photograph for 2 seconds or a thousandth of a second or anywhere in between, and the flash and the shutter would always be in sync.
Really.
But with this, it was only synchronized at one speed.
Yeah.
And that was what threw me off.
Oh no, mine's just kind of got stuck there. I don't know, and it was
Yeah.
bad. So,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, we're going to go back to the coaching, the
Yeah,
career
we're definitely
coaching.
gonna go back
yeah.
to the coaching. Well, we're leading towards that. You
Right.
know,
Okay.
how to.
So I because photography, unless you immerse yourself in it full time, is really can be a part-time business.
right.
Because people get married Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now sometimes there are weekday weddings, but for the most part, it's not something that somebody's not going to be getting married at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning or 3 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon or the time between 9 and 5 when most people are working other jobs.
Right.
So I always did other things.
Right.
In
So you
addition
still
to.
you still working with Citibank, or were you
I
transitioning at that
stayed with
point?
Citibank for another year until 1986. And then I went to one of my vendors, direct marketing firm in Melville. Came after me one more time. They had been after me for a couple of years to come and work for them. And being that I had just been through another reorganization, I said yes. So I went over to this company, and then from there I went to a CPA firm. I did marketing for a CPA firm for a couple of years. And
But you
then
had gotten your MBA.
I
right?
have an MBA from the Zarp School at Hofstra,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
at that point, when did you get your MBA?
That was, I got it in 79.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went straight through.
I went
school?
straight through from undergrad to grad
Okay.
school, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And then went out into the working world.
So did you find that helped with? Well, that's why you're doing the career coaching at this point, right?
Because of the many times that I reinvented?
Right. Because
Pretty
you
much,
have,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I worked in newspaper publishing. I worked in retail.
My gosh.
I've worked I was in an ad agency. I did marketing for a construction law firm, for a CPA firm. Yeah, that's why I said I can't hold a job.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Well, is it that you can't, or you just like change? You like change.
I get bored.
Yeah.
I get bored.
So the thing is, at this point, I know that.
I'm like Donald Trump. We're not going to go into politics.
No, we're not gonna
but
go into that.
Somebody, the guy, the gentleman who was his ghostwriter for The Art of the Deal, said that the thing that concerns him is that he has a very short attention span. If you go more than 5 minutes on a subject, he wants to talk about something else.
Really.
So that could be a drawback as a commander-in-chief, I think, not
Truly.
to have that staying power
Focus,
and
yeah.
that focus. But we'll see what's going to happen. So, yes, all kidding aside, I like to change things up. And so when I have the opportunity to work with different people in different walks of life and help coach them around where they're going next, that helps me keep it fresh.
Right, right. So in terms of, so when you went from this transition to that transition, and then how did you find the coaching? Because coaching, I didn't really know about coaching until like recently. And, but it's probably been around for a long time. They might have called it something
It
different.
has. No, actually, they've called it coaching.
Uh-huh.
In fact, Kate Wendelton, who was the founder of the 5 O'Clock Club, started the club in 1978.
Oh, really? Okay.
And she took the name actually from a networking group that was from the 1880s in Philadelphia.
Really?
And it was called the 5 O'Clock Club.
Uh-huh.
That was the original logo. They used the same logo because it was in the public domain. And it was an after-hours business networking club, and she wanted it to have that collegial kind of atmosphere, that you could come to it and get and meet with a group of people who are like-minded and who are all about helping advance you and your goals,
Right.
and just keep that as the way of being of the club. So coaching has been around for quite some time, and the International Coach Federation, I think, had its roots probably in maybe the early 80s.
Okay.
But when Kate started her business, it came about because she had just been terminated. And with a half a dozen of her friends, they hired a career coach who came and met with them in her living room in Manhattan. And they met with this guy for about 6 weeks. And she's a note-taker, researcher. She took copious notes and also checked in with people about what was working for them and what wasn't working for them. So everything has always been research-based with the 5 O'Clock Club. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, they hired a second coach to help them.
Oh, cool.
And then at the end of the 12 weeks, some of her friends said, we could probably do this.
Right.
And, this is something we could do.
Yeah.
And so they started to take the research from the 12 weeks and started to test it, because that was always her field in market research and
Statistics
testing.
and all that kind of
statistics.
stuff, yeah,
So
yeah.
she started testing it. So
Interesting.
they have tools and assessment tools that I use and that the coaches are licensed to use that help people to figure out what their passions are.
Right.
And what they're good at, and what their transferable skills are, so that they can take them and put them together for what's next for them.
Right.
So in terms of my discovering coaching and discovering the 5 O'Clock Club, it really was, I don't believe in coincidence. I think everything happens for a reason.
Without a
Einstein
doubt.
said coincidence is when God chooses to be anonymous. So I was working for Anton Newspapers at the time, and I was calling on a client out in Massapequa. And they had, I think it was a doctor's office that had some new magazines. Today there really aren't that many magazines because everything is digital, and they have TVs up on the wall in the waiting room.
a whole different
and it's
world.
always like WebMD on TV and promoting every pharmaceutical and so there were some new magazines, there were some old magazines, there were stacks of different things, and I was waiting to go in, and I kind of leafed through, and I found 2 copies, and they were about 5 years old, of the 5 O'Clock Club monthly newsletter
Oh, really?
from the day,
How cool.
back in the day
Yeah.
when they printed them.
Really? Yeah.
And they were 4-color glossy, I'm going to say 12-page newsletters. And I flipped through and I said, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is interesting. And I put them aside, and I went in for my meeting. And when I came out, I said to the receptionist, does anybody need these? Because they're like 5, 6 years old. She said, oh, no, those old things, you can take them.
Right, right.
So I took them. And you know how when you're on Amazon and you buy something, then they have suggestions at the bottom that say people who bought this also bought
Yes,
this.
yes, oh yes.
I don't even remember. I'm a book junkie. I'm a bookaholic. So I don't even know what the book was that I had ordered. But they said people who ordered this also were interested in these books. And one of them was called The Good Person Guidebook. And I said, oh, well, I want to be a good person. So I'd like to find out how to do that. You know, it's got to come from in here.
Right.
Yeah.
But these were sort of, I'm going to say, rules of how to run your business from a moral, good person standpoint, how to terminate people in a humane way. And it was written by the CFO of the 5 O'Clock Club,
Really?
a man named Dr. Richard Bayer.
Okay.
And I said, wow. All right, so this is some sort of a sign. So then I was reading the newsletter, and it said there's a website. I went on the website, and a lifetime membership on the website is just $49. So I said, all right, I'm in.
You can do that.
And then I was noodling around, and I saw that they had a coach training program. And I had some conversations with someone who was at the Workforce Partnership and teaching because right after that I lost my job at Anton Newspapers. And so I became a client of the Workforce Partnership. And one of the other teachers there had been or was training to be a coach. And so we had some conversations around it. And I said, you know what, all of this is pointing towards something. So I investigated it and went through their training program and became certified.
How long was
with
this
them.
training program?
It was at that time it was a 6-month program, and then now it's a year-long program.
Okay.
But at the time it was a 6-month program.
So it focused on careers, or did it?
It focused on careers and the methodology of the 5 O'Clock Club.
Okay.
So my certification doesn't go beyond that.
Right.
But it goes into great depth in their methodology.
Right.
So that's what
Which
you
is-
use, yeah.
And people, even long-time unemployed people, using our methods of finding work in 8 to 10 weeks,
Really?
as opposed to 8 to 10 months or
Right.
24 months. Even people who are out of work for a year or longer, we encourage our clients to think of the textbooks that were written by Kate as your MBA in job search.
Right, right.
And when they are really diligent about that and read the books and study the books and implement the methodologies and take steps every day, then they do find work
Right.
in record time.
And you also get into the spiritual soul of someone's passion starting as when they were a child and what they feel.
Well, you can go
Yeah.
back because one of the tools is called the 7 Stories exercise, and we ask people to make a list of the top 20 to 25 things that they've done in their life that they feel most accomplished around, that brought them the most joy. And it doesn't matter whether anybody else thinks so, just that you do. And that's a trademark 5 O'Clock Club tool. So we use that, and people make that list, and then they take their top 7. Then you tell a story around it. What was I doing? Where was I doing it? Who was I doing it with? Was I a team leader? Was I a team member? What was the subject matter? And you don't need to, it doesn't need to be work related. It doesn't even need to be since you're a grown up. It can be from when you were a kid. So the
Right.
things that showed up for me when I did it,
Right.
because I put myself through all of the exercises as part of the process, we do all of the work. What showed up for me was entrepreneurship. What showed up for me was being of service and charitable work,
Right.
because also when I was a kid, I ran a backyard carnival for muscular dystrophy.
Yeah.
And they would,
yeah.
you could write away to P.O. Box, whatever,
Yeah,
Grand
yeah,
Central
yeah.
Station, and they would send you a carnival kit. So there was that, and then years later working for Citibank, I was a blood drive captain and then a regional blood drive coordinator, and that went in. So helping people find their passion. I mean, we're all here put on this earth for one reason.
Right.
And we just need to discover what that one reason is.
Right, exactly.
And,
what the
and
purpose.
part of the reason why many people go through, job after job after job and I did well here for a while, and now all of a sudden I'm not doing well. It's because it's not the right fit.
Exactly.
It's just not the right
Exactly.
fit. And we go through life being square pegs and round holes because we need to pay bills. Because we get married, we have kids, we have obligations.
Yes.
And so we need to pay our bills and we need the money.
Exactly. And I believe this. So it's funny because I remember when I was a kid or a young person, I loved to dance.
Mhm.
And so then I went to school, and then I stopped
Right.
because I couldn't.
You stopped dancing.
Well, because I almost didn't graduate. So I knew I had to kind of focus on school because I was
Right.
going out 3-4 times a week while I was in college. So then,
You were a party girl.
Girl, yes.
yes, I
The
was.
truth comes out. Okay.
I can't help that.
Okay.
But, so what happened was I knew I had to grow up a little bit. But then I stopped. But then when I go away, I go and have a good time, dance a little bit here and there and what have you. But then it just wasn't,
So it was social dancing.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Social dancing, like social drinking, right? but
They go together sometimes.
They go so.
Yeah, there you go.
But I now, I like to go out now. And it might not be like I used to go 3 times a week or whatever. But if I go twice a month or whatever, I was like, that made me happy.
Right.
So why did we stop? So we now have to, like, they say we have our second childhood.
Hmm.
So I'm doing something that makes me happy.
That's good.
So
That's one of
I
my
go.
prescriptions when people are job searching
Right.
is they must schedule in 3 hours of fun a week.
Yes.
3 hours of fun a week because
Yes.
they show up, people show up differently.
Right.
They show up happier when they go for an interview. And why would you want to hire someone who wasn't happy and upbeat? I don't want somebody showing up in my office that I'm going to have around all day long who looks like Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh. Oh, yeah, I can't believe it's Monday.
Complaining
Yeah,
all the
gotta go to
time.
work.
Oh, no.
Good
Yeah.
God, it's
Yeah.
Monday. You don't want people showing
No,
up like that.
no, not at
So
all.
when people are having fun, and it has to be, they say, so I'll ask them, well, what do you do for fun? Oh, well, I babysit my grandkids. I said, no, it doesn't count. Sorry, wrong answer. Well, I go for a walk with my dog. You know what? You have to go for a walk with
Yeah.
your dog because your dog doesn't walk himself.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
So that's just a requirement. I mean, do you like to dance? Do you like to go to movies?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like to go to movies. I love museums, but museums are so expensive. Okay, go to your local library. They have museum passes.
Right, right.
And you can take them out for 3 days. You take it out on Friday. You don't have to return until Monday. And you get 2 passes for free. You can go to a Museum of Modern Art for free.
Really? But
Yes.
museums aren't that expensive.
Yeah, they are now. They're
Really?
like, some of them are $50 a ticket.
What?
Some of them are.
Because I used to go, because I was an art major, so I used to go to the museums all the time.
I think MoMA's like $35 a ticket.
You used to be able to go in
Yeah,
there for
no, they
free
are.
Yeah,
and then
no.
just give a donation.
Frick,
Even going to the movies
the
now.
Frick collection,
with
I
a
think, is
family.
$25 a
Really?
ticket.
Right.
Some of them are up there. They're up there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they expect that,
Really?
yeah, to come in. So the libraries have them.
Really? That's
Yeah.
a good
All
thing
over
to
Long
know.
Island, they do, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah, yeah.
very good to
And
know.
probably in other places too, not just Long Island.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you inspire people to get back to their happy place.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's a good way of saying it. Yeah, yeah. And not just yes, your happy place, what made you happy, what work made you
Right,
happy,
right.
what kind of work environment
Right,
made
right,
you happy,
right.
what kind of bosses
Yes.
could you work for.
Yes.
So we ask questions about who were the terrible bosses that you would never want to work for. Of course, you never bring that up in an interview when someone asks you in an interview, tell me about the worst boss you ever had. They're testing you.
Yeah.
So you'll say, I encourage my clients to say something along the lines of, well, I've been really lucky. I've always had great bosses who've challenged me,
Right.
and they've all had great things to say about me, like the time that I did X. I teach my clients to answer
With the
questions
yeah.
like in a positive spin,
Right,
like
right.
politicians.
Right. Exactly.
Politicians, we always think that they don't answer the questions, but they answer in a way that they want to answer.
Right.
They want to get certain key points across, and they want to keep hammering home on those key points, and you want to do the same thing in an interview. I
Right.
don't even call them interviews. I tell
Right.
people, just look at it as a meeting.
Right.
It's a meeting because interview has that scary,
Yes.
oh my God, I have an
Yes.
interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a meeting,
Right.
and your only goal for this meeting is to get to the next meeting,
Right. Exactly.
to have another meeting,
Exactly.
and then go from there. So yeah, inspiring people to find their happy place. That's a great way to put
Right.
it. I like that.
You like that?
Meeting.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
going to be my new tagline.
Okay, cool. Now the thing, I'm learning. I told you, I'm just
Yeah.
because IIN they actually talk about relationships and careers, and activity, as well as spirituality,
Mhm.
in terms of your primary food, and so in terms of that's where you have to focus. It's not just because I'm a health coach, but what aspect of you're going to have to really deal with the whole person
Right.
in order to get that balance, or else what happens is with the other, the primary food that's the most important thing, and then you go to the secondary food, which is what you put in your nutrition and all that kind of that, and that's important, but not as important as the whole
Balance.
balance of
Right.
the body.
It's important
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
balanced.
yeah.
Sure.
So the career is definitely important.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So you got that aspect, and they say, well, what do you want to focus on? So at this point, I would focus. I'm not sure exactly where I'm focusing, but I know that it's just about. I'll be a guide also,
Mhm.
but it'll be more so on the health realm of things. But
Right.
I'm not sure who I'm dealing with yet.
Okay.
Right now, I think I'm using it here
Sure.
in
Absolutely.
terms of
Yeah.
with my
Yeah.
sharing and people's journeys and stuff like that. So, it's interesting.
And all we can do is guide people.
That's it.
Right.
We can
That's
only guide
it.
people, and
Yeah.
that's what a coach does.
Exactly.
I know people who say, well, I could be a coach because I give my friends advice all along,
It's
but
not
that's
about
not,
the advice.
coaching is not about giving advice.
Exactly.
Unsolicited advice is a form of criticism.
Yes.
People don't want to hear it.
No. Exactly.
Coaches ask questions
Yes.
and get people to answer the questions themselves.
Right. Exactly.
And looking
then-
within themselves.
And then
Yeah.
we hold
And
them,
find it
and then we hold
myself,
people
yeah.
accountable.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
We'll hold your feet to the fire to make sure that you do it. But even if I hold your feet to the fire, you may still be okay with getting your feet burned and not getting it done. So we can't make people do anything. You know
Right.
that old adage, you can lead a horse to water?
Exactly.
And it's true in coaching, as in any area of life. If people don't want to do something, they're not going to do it.
No.
Yeah.
They're not ready.
Exactly.
It's just not ready. So
Gotta
you
be
have
ready.
to just kind of okay. Well,
And you also, when people get to the point where they're happy, they want to even get better. I mean, there's always improvement to go up in your goals. So you work with that too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
so it's
Yeah.
exciting.
It
How
is
long
exciting.
you been doing the coaching, per se, as a certified international?
Just 3 years.
That's it.
That's all.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you also.
I've been
Are
teaching.
act-
I've been teaching at Hofstra
Oh, okay.
for 6 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I teach in the adult ed division. I teach in
Okay.
continuing ed, public
Really?
speaking, communications,
Okay.
a class called Career Reboot, which is a 5-week coaching class on reimagining second half careers, and a class in voiceover acting,
Voiceover.
Really?
which was my
Yeah,
first
that's
class
right.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So cool. When I met you, I knew you were just going to be one of my friends.
Aw,
Definitely.
thank
It was
you.
really cool.
And that's how we met, because I went to Jerry's lecture
Right.
one night.
At
And,
Launchpad in Huntington.
and
Right.
Dee was in the next room. And that's how we...
That's right.
I didn't even know you were there. And when
I-
I saw you again, I was like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were there either. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so-
I knew Debbie was there.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
didn't know you were there.
Yeah,
Yeah, Debbie and Rob were there.
yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
always hanging out there. But I haven't been in a while. Actually, they're going to have a event, I think, next week. So maybe we'll meet up there.
Cool.
That'd be kind of cool.
It's a possibility. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll scan you again. Did you
Okay.
did you get scanned before?
You did scan me.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll
But
find out.
I've been behaving myself more, so
Okay.
I might do better
Yeah,
on my scan.
Yeah, find out how old you are inside.
Inside.
That's right.
Do our viewers know about scanning?
I really
No.
haven't really
It's not
been
like that. Not like the
exploring-
movie Scanners, but it's
No,
totally
no,
different.
no. I basically don't share that aspect of me because I don't want it to be an info commercial. I really like to have people share their journeys.
I get it. Okay.
So
All
I
right.
did have
I'm a troublemaker, so you know
no, but
that.
you know what? I will. Last year on my anniversary, which was it was kind of like I didn't realize it was my first year anniversary of doing this show,
Ah, okay.
and a friend of mine, she was like, "I want to interview you,"
Ah,
and so it was funny because when she was interviewing me, all of a sudden she's asked me, "So how long you been doing this?" And I was like, "Today's 1 year." So it was really kind of.
that's very cool.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It was very cool.
So that's an example of being in the flow,
Mm-hmm.
and that's even though it's a weekly thing and it's not something that you do every day,
Mm-hmm.
you enjoy it so much that you didn't even realize how much time had passed.
Exactly.
And that's when people are in their joy
Yeah.
and living their passion and doing something that they're passionate about. If you're passionate about painting, you're passionate about photography.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being a kid and being in the dark room until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
getting up and going to school, not even remembering.
Exactly.
And I was a painter at the age of like 5.
Really.
And I started painting again, doing watercolors, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I remember the
Yeah.
first night that I took out my paints and watercolor paper, before I turned around, it was 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I was just in the flow.
Yeah,
When
right.
you're in the flow,
Yeah.
and we all know it when we're there, whether you're an athlete or whether it's in business or whether it's doing something, some art
Mm-hmm.
that you're passionate about, or cooking or anything.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in that, sometimes we call it in the zone.
Right.
When you're in the zone, you're in the flow.
Yeah, yeah.
Time
Yeah.
just doesn't even
It doesn't.
even
yeah,
exist.
Yeah. 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 No, definitely.
And that's where,
I love
if
it.
you find that expression, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
You're working, you're earning money,
Yeah.
doing something that you love. So before you know it, it's the end of the day, or it's 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and you don't even remember
Right.
what time it is.
When I'm acting, I'm on set sometimes 18 hours, and I just love it.
And
I
you're
could
full
be
of
there.
energy at the
And
end
I'm
of
full
the
of
day.
energy.
This is
Yeah,
true.
you're
I
not
love it.
exhausted. But if
Yeah.
you worked 18 hours at a job, which is an acronym for just over broke, if you worked
What is
18
it?
just over broke,
Broke.
Oh,
you're
wow.
J-O-B.
That's so cool.
If you worked in a job that you didn't like or even hated, you could never go 18 hours. You'd be totally exhausted
Yeah.
after 8 or 9. There's somebody once said, whoever said there isn't life after death should see this place at quitting time. Watch people come alive when they're done working.
This is so true.
No, when I-
and we need to be alive while
Yeah.
we are working. So find something
Right.
that enlivens you so that you can feel that
Yeah. Yeah.
all the time.
You know, when I do a photography job too, after I'm done, they pay me, and I end up staying an extra hour or whenever I'm ready, because I'm having such a great time doing it. I give them extra time, just out of my heart, because I
Well,
want
that's
to.
nice.
Because I want to be there, and I'm
Yeah.
having a great time, and I get the best pictures at the end of the party.
Very often.
So,
Very
you know.
often. Yeah, a lot of times the stuff that happens after
The-
the official end
Right.
of your assignment is going to be a lot more fun. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, I know myself. I just enjoy life at this point. I love to travel. I had always wanted to. Actually, I did work at an airport as a customer service agent when I was a kid, and but it was just like the summertime, and I never had been on a plane, so I'm having everybody come in, and I'm checking them in, and I'm like, I want to go on a plane. And then I started going. I was like, I travel all the time. I love to travel. But that's part of it. So meeting people also. So that's who I am. I can't. And I didn't realize, even though I was shy supposedly, but as I said, a little insecure because I had the buck to eat. I was overweight. I had all these real big challenges. But now I'm like, you know what? This is who I am. Accept me for who I am. If you don't like it, it's all good. I don't have no problem with it. You don't have to like me, but most people like me, because I'm
What's
just
not to like?
yeah.
You're very likable.
Whatever.
Exactly.
So I'm just like, okay, secure. I'm who I
Good.
am.
Good.
So
Yeah.
that's why I became a coach.
There you go.
So, but as I said, I'm going to utilize you,
All right.
and because
That'd be
I'm going to
be my
definitely
pleasure.
need this,
Be my
definitely,
pleasure.
just to make sure I'm going on the right path, but which I know I am. But
Okay.
I'm right there.
Sounds good.
Yes,
Sounds
yes.
good.
But it's exciting. It's so exciting to keep on meeting people like Jerry and Diane and my friends, and it's not even like we have had a long friendship, but you just know that there's people that you like.
It's all the positive. It's the positive energy
Yeah.
that you feel within
like-minded.
people
Well,
that
when
you connect
we
with, you
meet
attract
someone
with.
that we just connect with
Right.
and that we click with, it's truly because we knew them in another
Is that what it
lifetime.
is? Yeah.
That's a soul
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah, yeah.
So we always think of, or we often think of soulmates in terms of romantic.
Yeah, it doesn't
And
have to be.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be
No.
romantic.
Right.
Soulmates just means that the two souls had some interaction before, and sometimes we meet someone who we connect with, and it's a soul connection, and sometimes the souls meet up in a new iteration, new bodies, because there's some business that needs to be finished, that wasn't finished. It isn't always a happy thing. Sometimes it's not a happy thing, and yet the souls need to finish that business. So there's that connection. So when you meet somebody that you feel good about, but then there are also people that you meet that there's an instant, it's instant, like two magnets, and they repel each other. That's also a soul connection, someone who you knew from a previous lifetime, and you've got that karmic work to complete. And we're here to balance the equation this time around. So it's an interesting journey.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is. It
yeah.
is. And that's how my show, I met people, and I didn't know what to call this show. And they said passion, because they saw this passion. And I see a lot of people have this passion now. And we need it. We need to have the passion. We need to be fulfilled by that passion and,
Right.
and enjoy life. And people, stop hurting people and hurting each other and hurting yourselves.
Hurt people, hurt people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's so sad. It doesn't have to be that way.
No.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be. You have to, I say myself, okay, people might be upset with something, right? Or I don't know how to say it right now, but I just know it's a lesson. You take it as a lesson. It's something that you need to go through, some kind of experience that wasn't exactly a good experience per se, but it wasn't really a bad experience, but it's as a lesson that you now have to incorporate into your life, so that it's just a good thing.
Right.
Because if you didn't go through it, now it didn't make it wouldn't have made you who you are.
Right.
So I actually, a young lady was saying her birthday's coming up, and she was bummed. She wasn't feeling good, and she just was not. So I was like, but, okay, I understand. But at this point, you remember, we got reconnected. So I'm so happy to have reconnected with her. And let's take those like bad relationships or what's going on and take it to the next level. And let's make it a lesson. So
It's all lessons.
yeah.
And we keep repeating them until
Yeah.
we get them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like the movie Groundhog Day.
Yes.
Really,
You
that's
keep
true.
reliving
right.
it over and over again
Right.
until
Yeah.
you get it.
Get it.
Yeah.
And then you finally get it. It's like, oh, now I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's exciting, So it took me a while. So, but
But you're here.
I'm here.
You're here.
I'm here.
How cool is that?
I took it and you're talking out of your comfort zone. I remember in your conversation that you talked about comfort zone, and I've gone out of my comfort zone by just going on my first couch and being in front of this camera or what have you.
Yeah.
I had no intentions, and then I was like, oh, I got invited,
Yeah.
and then I did it, and then I did it again,
There you go.
and
Now you do it every
Hey.
week.
I do it every week.
How cool is that?
It is so cool, and I have people like you and Diane hanging out,
Thank you.
and wasn't
It's
that
a
bad,
pleasure.
was it?
No, it was lovely.
It was lovely. When
It went like that, didn't
yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. You mean our hour is up already?
it? It's
No,
almost
almost
there.
there.
Oh, my
Yes.
goodness.
And we didn't even have a break.
Yeah.
She just let us ramble.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to come out again.
All right. It'd be my pleasure.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
I wanted to wish you a happy birthday. for
Aw,
reaching
thank
out to
you.
me, and I
Happy
would like to wish you a
birthday.
Aw,
happy
you
birthday.
gonna- are you gonna sing?
Yes.
Happy. Yeah.
No,
No,
I
no
don't
singing?
think-
That's
No.
You don't sing?
Uh,
You know, every.
I was in the choir, but
yeah,
I
bet
just know.
you. Well, okay. A voice coach that I worked with, a man named Claude Stein, teaches a workshop called The Natural Singer.
Okay.
And he teaches it in the city, and he also teaches it up in Woodstock. He has a studio up there. And I took he teaches at New York Open Center and Kripalu, and I took his week-long workshop at
Okay.
Omega,
Okay.
Omega Institute up in Rhinebeck. And his contention in the now I'm going to say 25 years that he's been doing this, is that no one has a truly bad voice.
Really?
He said what happens is we try and sing like the overproduced songs on the radio, and sometimes they're auto-tuned.
Yes.
Because some of the pop singers today really don't have great voices.
Yeah,
They have
yeah.
okay voices, but then they tune their voices down to match the instruments.
Right.
So we try and sound like that,
Mm.
and we can't. You know, you singing in your car, and you start trying to sound like Beyonce or Rihanna,
Mm-hmm.
and that's and we don't know where. I mean, I don't try and sound like Beyonce or Rihanna, but the ladies might.
But you
Yeah.
know what?
But we don't know our key. We don't know our pitch. We don't know where we're supposed
Yeah,
to
this
sing.
is true. This
So
is true.
the very first day, the very first hour, in the very first 15 minutes, he had 35 of us in a cottage where we were set to work for a week. And there were only, I think, 3 people who had ever sung together before or taken workshops with Claude. There were 32 of us that had never met before, ever.
Yeah.
We were just thrown together. And in 15 minutes, he had us singing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot in 3-part harmony.
Really?
And sounding wonderful.
Wow.
And then just improving from there, because he went around the room and he listened to everyone's voice and then set us to where we needed to be
Analyze, yeah.
and who we would sing with.
right.
And he put us in groups, and we just went from there.
Wow.
And it's amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Well, I know I always sound better in the car.
In the car and in the shower, right? We all sound better in the shower. And we all sound differently than we actually sound. So when we
Yeah.
hear our voice on a recording or on video, we go like,
Yeah.
is that how I sound?
Yeah.
And nobody, we didn't really get a chance to talk much about voiceover, but nobody, even voiceover actors don't really love their voice.
Well, you're going to have to definitely come back and then share some more, because I know you do Toastmasters and all that kind of stuff too, right?
I've actually, I send my students to Toastmasters, but I've never been through the
You never did
Toastmasters
the
program.
Toastmasters
No,
thing?
I've been through Dale Carnegie training. I did some graduate assistant teaching for them, but I've never done the Toastmasters
Oh, okay,
program. I've heard really great things about it.
Yeah, I went
and I
to-
sent some of my summertime public speaking students there this summer, and they went and they've had some really good
Yeah.
reports
Actu-
back. They
yeah.
reported back some really good,
Actually,
good
I'm
information.
planning to go back, because I
Yeah.
did go, but at that point it wasn't a good fit for me, my timing and what have you.
Yeah,
but
they're all
I have
over.
more
Okay.
time.
They're all
Yeah,
over the country.
Yeah,
We have a few seconds.
yeah. Okay.
A few seconds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So give your where
So
we can meet
I
you.
have to
and-
speak very fast. And hi, my name is Jerry Layton, and there are 2 websites: The Road Ahead Coaching, that's theroadaheadcoaching.com, all one word, and also jerrylayton.com. Jerry is spelled Gerry, and Layton is Laytin. So jerrylayton.com and theroadaheadcoaching.com. Also, on Facebook at The Road Ahead Coaching and Voice Acting by Jerry Layton, at Jerry Layton on Twitter, and of course on LinkedIn. So there are lots of different ways to find me and connect with me. And I look forward to meeting you either in the classroom or in a cyber connection sometime in the near future. So I want to thank Dee and Diane very much for the opportunity to be here, and see you next time.
Bye. He signed off for me, so have a great one. We'll see you next time. Take care.